we go.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. Discussion items.
Well, tonight's goal is really to once again go over our work plan. There's a lot of just action items and giving you update. A lot of things are coming to a head this spring, and I wanted to keep everyone up to date for existing projects as well as some of the new Preservation Month programs that are coming. And the first one on the action list is the Preservation Month photo contest. Remember last year we had our first annual photo contest, and we decided we wanted to try to make it an annual event. We are still working with Clackamas County Historical Society. We are going to do the photos on our website, on the Oregon City website. And I've been working with David Knoll to be able to do online uploads of photos, so people will be able to go to our city website and do, you'll read the disclaimer, click agree, and then you'll be able to directly upload the photos. So that's going to be a nice, and I'll can be able to get that out to the selection committee. It'll go from May 1st to June 15th. So after the end of the time period, we'll have the same thing where anybody on the Historic Review Board that wants to be on the selection committee, I'll give you what I think we did before was 3 sets of PDFs for youth, teen, and adult. And then you ranked the top 3, and then the aggregate scores. We found out who the winners were, and first prize for youth is $25, teen is $50, and adult is $75. Karen Morey with Clackamas County Historical Society is still finalizing the business that's going to sponsor the prizes, so they are not on the poster, but I should have that information by the end of the week, so their business logo will be added on. Last year, Hilltop Mall did it. I'm not sure if they're going to do it again or if another business wants to take that on. Our goal is to present the winners at the 2nd July City Commission meeting. I don't have that off my head, but it's probably mid-July. That'll be, once again, like a 7 to 7:30, and the mayor will shake the hand, and we'll have the photos framed. That's also part of the business sponsor will help pay for framing the 3 photos. And they'll be up here at City Hall for a time period. It's a big one. We are going to be able to print 100 color copies of the poster. I'm going to be working with Lloyd Purdy and Main Street and trying to get some of the posters out. And then, of course, working on kind of social media and press releases. But as things go out, if you have, I'll try to send the information out through the winds like I did last year, but please carry the torch if you think it can be sent off to people that it's not been sent off to yet. We're trying to work with the high school to get both the high school and the grade schools involved as well, at least informed about the program.
Where are we going to put these announcements up, or are we going to give them to all the schools and let the schools pass them out? Or
last year we provided hard copies to the high school, and we provided PDF emails to the grade schools. I can say that the outreach to the schools has not been to the level I wanted this year just because of time constraints. So I think it's one of these where every year we do the photo contest, we'll keep working on our outreach. Yes.
Well, the other thing I was thinking of is maybe the scouts, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, those youth groups, if you kind of put it out
and
there.
I think that's where it gets to the local community and the local, where you might have more contact with school-age parents who could forward it on. But I can go through more of the local channels, but it's kind of the social channels of getting once we get the PDF of the poster and the link and the background information.
Can you send it to the art teachers at the various schools?
Oh, that's
I did do that last time.
You did?
Okay, that's a great idea. Oh, how about the junior college? Are they too old?
Well, you fit in one of the 3 categories: youth, teen, or adult, and it's an age.
Okay.
So it's. I think I have it on the poster. I think it was 7.
So
under.
are they all the posters the same? That you don't have one for youth and one for adults?
No. Derek,
just that.
Yeah, just that one.
Okay. Good.
So
did you have? You said you were going to send it to Clackamas Community.
yeah,
College?
that thing is. I have the outlets for the traditional way of getting information out. It's more of the informal of, getting it to that parent of that Girl Scout troop and them getting excited. I don't have that ability, and that's where kind of trying to find
Also,
that
I'm
network.
thinking of Merrillhurst over by where I live, Merrillhurst Early Childhood Learning Center.
Right,
They
right.
have a lot of parents come in to see the crayon kids do the.
So we
plays and
have
stuff.
exactly. So I have these 100 posters, and I
you
guess some of them we're going to send downtown, and then some of them we're going to put in all the normal places. And we have like the Safeway board, and we have about 10 businesses, and Singer Hill's another one. But I think beyond kind of that, we probably have about 30 or 40 posters we can get out, and that's what I need some help with.
Okay.
Could you send us the PDF of the poster?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying we're offering to print 100, and that we're going to print 100 11 by 17 versions. So what I have is the 8.5 by 11, but we promised to print the larger one. So that's what I have for that. The Ruth Powers Preservation Award will be awarded this next Wednesday at 7 o'clock at the City Commission meeting after the proclamation for Preservation Month. It's the standard proclamation that we do every year, insert theme of month each year. And then we present the Ruth Powers Preservation Award. We have 2 winners that went through the voting process. They've both been identified, and they'll be there that night. So one of them, I have a PowerPoint presentation with before and after photos, which is always fun. Everyone likes that. Ooh, ah. So that always is a crowd pleaser. And then we'll announce the photo contest as well. So about 7 to 7:40, if you can make it.
Are you going to have some flyers there so
Yes,
we can pick
yeah.
up a few?
I think that we've just been holding off on printing until we can get the sponsor
Okay.
confirmed.
Yeah, because I'd like to grab some. My printer's not the best.
If you recall, our last certified local government grant looked at national register nominations of the elevator, the Carnegie Library, the Promenade, and potentially the Masonic Building, subject to the property owner signing off. And Chris-Ann Beckner was chosen. She did work on the previous citywide survey. She is elbow deep in the draft nominations. She's meeting with myself and the State Historic Preservation Office, I think in the end of the month, end of May, I think, to go over her first draft. And I have questioned the board. I mean, on June 30th is when she has to get the initial draft nomination to the State Historic Preservation Office to get ready to package to the State Advisory Council's October meeting. So the way they work is the June 30th deadline for an October meeting. They'll meet in October, and that's when the State Advisory Council reviews the nomination and provides feedback that then Chris-Ann has to incorporate. And then that nomination with the incorporated feedback gets sent to the National Park Service, a month later, 2 later. And then depending on the, the queue and issues related, nomination will probably happen next spring of those buildings, which I think will be a really good segue to the work that's being done on the elevator. And I wanted to give a little update on what you're going to see next month for the elevator. There's 2 projects that are being worked on. One, Lloyd Purdy with Main Street Oregon City applied for and received a $100,000 NEA grant to work with an artist to do a dynamic placemaking art event to utilize the and I'm not the best. Since I didn't write the grant, I'm not the best to perfectly articulate it. But what I got it's a 1-year placemaking art to look at using lighting or projection onto the elevator at night in concert with programming events during the year that it would happen, and it would start. Most likely next January, probably January 2014 would be the beginning of the art installation. And looking at programming events, placemaking, making it this art exhibit a region-wide draw, but also as an educational aspect where the artists would do a master class with local artists on on working on art. And that artist hasn't been announced yet, but I was involved in the interviews, and I can tell you I'm pretty excited about the artist that was chosen. I think it'll be a game changer for Oregon City. It's going to be regionally significant art, and it's going to bring a lot of people of Program Well to Oregon City for the first time
Nice.
to see some of her work. And
What percentage of the $100,000 goes to the artist, and what is
it's a
for?
contingency fee of what I gleaned from the interview process was it was a contingency fee of the project, and a lot of the project are the projectors that actually the city will own after the
I
project
see,
is
so it'll
done.
be the cities. Great. And then questions that I've heard people ask is, after the year, we'll have the projector, so then what do we do? Can we on our own continue it in
So
some
that's
way?
the whole idea. As part of this master class, she is going to teach local artists how to do this type of art video mapping, and then we can choose how we could continue her installation longer if we want. We own the installation work. We can not do it and take on new installation. We could move the projectors to a different place. We own it, but it's the contract is for the year installation, and then after that, it's kind of how we want to program it afterwards. And that's the first part. The second part, the city has put up a match of money to paint the structure, provide some better lighting when it's during dusk and when it's not being shown, the projection, because it probably won't be the whole night. It might cut off at certain, midnight or 11 or 9 or 1 a.m., something like that. And then also to look at new signage or wayfinding sign, especially on the railroad Main Street bottom entrance. And Metro is helping pay for that as well, the wayfinding sign design and the paint design. So Dow Architecture and Peter Meiser Architects have been retained to come up with a paint scheme and lighting and signage that kind of can help with that placemaking, but also be appropriate to the mid-century architecture. And because federal money is being used as part of this project, we need to go through the formal Section 106 process. So we're working with SHPO on that. So what the Historic Review Board will be looking at next month is more an advise and consent, because it's an exterior alteration, so doesn't necessarily trigger a formal Historic Review Board review. In paint color, we've traditionally not required formal review, but this is the elevator, and we're painting it, and of course we want the Historic Review Board to be involved, but it's going to be as a presentation, advise and consent back to the architects. We have a really pretty tight timeline to try to get this painted in August and September, so we're kind of working on that backwards from that, and the contract for that. But what I'm really excited about with this combination of Dow and Peter Meiser is one of the state's foremost experts on mid-century architecture and also mid-century structures. And I think combined with Dow and their ability to come up with pretty dynamic and creative design for the signage and wayfinding sign, I think we'll come up with a pretty unique package that is creative and innovative, but yet still is rooted with an appropriate Northwest mid-century architecture.
Is the Historic Preservation League going to be involved in this at all?
No. No, they have been excited. They wanted to maybe
Kate
next
was
spring.
asking me about it.
Maybe next spring when we're all gussied up, they'd mentioned maybe we can be a site in their mid-century modern
That'd be
tour,
fun.
which I think would be neat.
Really cool.
Yeah, and bring everyone out here with to come out at night, see our projections, see the brand new brand new elevator with the new painting and the new wayfinding sign. So I think next year is going to be the year of the elevator. So I'm pretty excited. And with the nomination, we can just really tie up all of these projects into kind of something bigger than each individual part.
Nice.
The next one is Heritage All-Star Community Application was turned in. If you recall, that is a program by the State Historic Preservation Office that tries to acknowledge communities that have breadth and depth of preservation, nonprofits and activities. And there's 20 criteria, and you need to meet 15 in order to be a Heritage All-Star. We turned it in, and I believe we meet it. If they agree with us, the Heritage Commission is meeting in May, and if we do get it this round, we actually may be able to get awarded at the second May City Commission meeting. I think that's May 16th or May 15th, which I'll let everyone know, and that'd be neat. They'd come in and more shaking of hands, and preservation groups can all, and we do get that. We will invite all the preservation groups to stand up in front of the dais and accept this award as a group. Because the one thing that comes with this designation is any of the organizations involved in the heritage area, the Heritage All-Star, they are eligible potentially for capacity grants for their groups. Like if they want to work on membership capacity, there may be some training they can be involved in. So even an individual group like the Clackamas County Historical Society, the McLaughlin Memorial Association, might be able to take advantage of some state funding or even state training to help be better heritage groups. So I think that's a bonus, even if for some of the smaller groups that may not know exactly where they fit into that. And I think that also helps to create a framework which we can continue to try to collaborate with each other, because we have so many heritage groups within Oregon City, and sometimes I always feel we are on our own little trajectory path, and the more we can collaborate on projects, I think the stronger we are as an Oregon City. So this is that hope to try to do that.
Did you skip number 4?
Did I? That's Heritage All-Star Community.
Oh, no. I've got that as number 5.
Oh, okay. Which one do I have 4?
Delist landmarks that have
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the action items on the...
Oh, I'm looking at my screen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, delist landmarks, that's still on the goal. I think once a lot of these major projects start to play out, we'll have more time. And when I get to the Willamette Falls Legacy Project, we can talk a little more about timing for the delisting of landmarks.
Okay.
Ermatinger House, we have entered into agreement with a grant writer that was recommended to us from the Historic Preservation League of Oregon, who's going to help us write kind of a, I don't want to say we have a $5,000 grant to her to write kind of a shotgun approach to 5 or 6 or 7 private granting organizations like Meyer Memorial Trust or the Oregon Community Foundation for the last piece of the Ermatinger House project. We're about 2/3 funded. And
So how much money do we have collected altogether?
I want to say we have $450,000.
Really? That much already?
How much?
That's great.
400.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
So is the city of Portland, now that Sam Adams is gone, are they interested?
I don't think they ever were there to begin
okay.
with. But I think we're between the Community Development Block Grant, the money we have that Oregon City has dedicated, each year, and then with these grants, I think to tell these private grantees, you are going to steal the deal. Like your $50,000 grant or your $25,000 or your $70,000 grant is going to help us bring this home. And the goal, if we can get those grants turned in, review this, and hopefully find out if we were approved by end of the year, we can start the contracting bidding process in early spring for summer construction. The key thing is we have a very short window of when we want to dig out the basement, because we're going to be, of course, the solution for the Ermatinger House. A lot of the issues with the structural is to do a full basement, take out the fill that was there from the previous house, the previous basement, and some of the hydrostatic water pressure, is to and deal with the HVAC right now that's on the ground, is to pull up the house, do a full basement, and provide all the HVAC inside and all that equipment inside. And we probably have late August through...
You're talking about this year, right?
No, next year, fall 2014. We just have a very short timeline of when we want to do that excavation, because we want the driest soil possible while we do that excavation. So we're working back from that date of fall of August, September 2014. But I think we're still moving forward.
So on the other side of 7th Street, by my building, just a block away from Ermatinger, there's a perched water table. Is that extend to the other side of the street? And is that part of the problem with this house?
What information I gleaned from the geotechnical report was two things, and this is broad brushes, is there was a previous house on the site, the police station house, that was removed, and the basement had, I don't want to call it unengineered fill, but they had not perfectly engineered fill in the basement. So the Ermitinger house is halfway on and halfway off, the two basements don't align. So half the Ermitinger is hitting some engineered, non-engineered soil and some native soil, and the other is the high water table and the hydrostatic pressure pushing in. So that's kind of the combination, and I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to get past that. But some of the solution that they came up with was the full dig out and the full basement, and bringing it back, and there would be no change in elevation once you brought it back.
Right. Okay.
They will work, Amaya Foti with ARG, who was hired last year, has worked pretty hard with the National Park Service on the ADA access, because they initially really, one of their goals is to actually encourage main entry ADA access, knowing that may not be the most historically appropriate, so they know that that's always there, but that is their mission, is to provide access in the cleanest, nearest extent possible, not the back entrance, And with this situation, because of the size of the house and it being on a corner lot, thinks she's gotten the Park Service to be okay with the John Adams side entrance and not having to affect the front entrance of the Ermitinger with an ADA ramp. So that's been a real win, I think.
That is a real win.
But that was a lot of negotiation to do that. Either that or a straight back to the kitchen side door. But I think coming in the John Adams porch is a pretty direct entrance. So I don't know if she got the official okay, but I think she got the reasonable sign off from Park Service on that. So that really helped with the design. Down in the basement it's not going to be habitable, but it'll be a lot of storage opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing, they'll have a lot of ability to put things back in dry storage that right now doesn't have room, and they can move in and out.
And it's important to get that done first so that they can renovate the rest of the house, so they can store things down there while they're renovating the rest.
No, it's going to be all one big project.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And looking at the phasing, we thought, well, maybe we can phase this, and it's just really not a phased project. So knowing that we're
going to have to really
knowing that we can get to full funding makes the most sense to do it that way. It's structurally stable right now, and waiting the extra year to get full funding, doing it all at once makes the most sense. The last I have on our list for the action items from the agenda is to give you an update of the Willamette Falls Legacy Project, where we are, how the board's going to be involved in the future. As you know, 4 partners, Oregon City, Clackamas County, State of Oregon, and Metro, have come together as we call a partnership with a little p, because nothing has been formalized yet, under the agreement of 4 values of economic development, access to the falls, habitat restoration, and cultural and historic interpretation, which involves preservation, but is one piece of cultural and historic interpretation. And after it became apparent this fall and winter that Metro was not going to move to acquire the whole site, and understanding that the trustee was hitting some time limits on his ability to carry the monthly maintenance of the property once NRI Global planned on leaving the site, because right now NRI Global, the company hired to dismantle the machinery, is paying the monthly carrying cost, which is about $30,000 for the site. And the trustee only has a finite amount of cash on hand and a fiduciary duty to pay off the creditors, which is more than the cash on hand. And knowing that nobody has come up to date to purchase the property, the city worked with the trustee on we're calling it a visioning and master planning rezoning project. So the first half is looking at big picture, long range visioning of the site, next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? What do you want? What are we going to have on the site? What is your vision for the site that meets those four values? And that public visioning process will be played out through the late summer and fall. And one of the deliverables of that, and really the thing that the city can do to help reduce the perceived barriers for acquisition of a private property owner, is rezoning the property from industrial to some new zone, be it mixed use downtown, be it some type of alternative zone, be it a brand new zone, something that's not industrial, and meet the transportation planning rule, which means negotiating with ODOT on trip caps, alternative mobility standards for that move from industrial to a not industrial zone. So basically fighting that fight, that's something that the city can do. One of the requirements of the comprehensive plan that was adopted in 2004 was whenever there is a change in use or a rezoning on the property, there needs to be a master plan in concert with that. And knowing that we don't have a property owner right now and we don't have a development ready plan, we're proposing as part of the rezoning as what we're calling a framework master plan. So it's that big picture framework. What makes the most sense? Where would the open space be? Where could a future public entity purchase open space? Knowing the floodplain, what areas make the most sense to open up to bring back as right-of-ways? What are some of the conditions the community might put on the rezoning in regards to cultural and historic interpretation or riparian areas, things like that? And what's that balance between providing too many conditions so it's not restrictive enough that a development community is still staying away? Because one thing that the trustee has promised to do is not abandon the site before April 24th, 2014, which is when we've promised to have the first planning commission hearing for the site. Since it's a comprehensive plan map amendment, there's no 120-day. So all we can do is promise to get the trustee to a planning commission hearing, and after that, that's democracy, it's process. But there is a real fear that if there is no private property owner that wants to purchase it, it's not rezoned, there's no planning process going on, the trustee, it's almost the trustee may have a fiduciary duty to abandon the site. So that is kind of the worst case scenario we're working around not to happen. And so it's that balance between, I kind of see it as what can we do as a community, hiring this pretty impressive consultant team that has visionary landscape architecture, has urban designers, has natural resource habitat, has engineering, transportation, has this big consultant team that can help not only shape a bigger vision, but create champions for the project. So we're basically telling a future development, come on board, we have a vision, come play with us and be part of this vision. We have the governor's office has put in potentially a $5 million match if we can come up with $10 million of private or public money. Still working on the private versus public, but that's one option. It's currently starting its way through the Ways and Means Committee in the legislature this year. It'd be bonded as part of lottery funds. Go ahead.
Carlotta Collette came to our government affairs meeting. I'm sure Derek was there as well. And she gave a really exciting presentation about EPA's interest in the site and possible federal money. So how does that, is that progressing, or do you know?
Yeah, I think I have to see, I think the planning process, this is how I vision it. Oregon City is kind of project manager of this planning process, kind of where we feel that we can help. We can help by changing the zone, resolving transportation issues, helping with the visioning, helping to create documents that can, in future, inform EPA grants, inform future National Park Service grants, we can't apply for all these other open space or trails or all these, or even cleanup, until we go through this process, because we need to create something that has vision and has a document and has work items and ways we can peel off. So where we really see Metro's strength this next year is seeing the legislative opportunities both at the local, state, and federal level, identifying future grants, future projects, future matching funds, and that's all happening while this planning process is continuing. So and then Clackamas County is supporting us. They've put in $100,000 of money from tourism and economic development.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are definitely a partner in this process and attend our weekly meetings and really are interested in how this project can affect both, especially those two pieces.
And the message, part of the message that we got, besides the exciting thing about EPA, was that, Oregon City's been the poor relation, and the rest of the metro area recognizes that, and even mayors from individual cities like Beaverton and stuff are coming on board and saying, yeah, this is the next great thing. We've got to do this at the fall.
Yeah,
So
we
it was
received a
very
letter of
exciting.
support from Washington County commissioners to the state legislature about this funding. So it's been pretty exciting. I think it's a really neat, sexy project. So let's keep it that way.
Yeah, let's keep it up there.
I think that's the goal. There's a
It's
momentum.
fabulous.
It's really exciting, and So right now we're reviewing 14 RFPs. They're going to go to interview next Thursday, Friday. Hopefully we'll have a selected RFP team by May 8th, and then we will be madly scoping the project as fast as we can for an early June contract execution by the city. The final decision of the consultant team is down to the trustee and the City of Oregon City Community Development Director.
All right, this question may be too far down the road to even answer, but I'll ask anyway. So do you think it would be economically important to expand the urban renewal boundaries or change the urban renewal boundaries to
You mean urban growth?
Yeah,
excuse me, the urban renewal for the
No.
urban renewal district.
I think that's
So-
a great question, and I guess I'm going to backtrack a little bit to the answer. We will get that answer. One of the major work products is a strategic plan on how to do a strategic implementation plan, fiscal approach, and it'll probably lay out all the different ways of the inevitable gap financing, because we want this, we have this, development's only going to pay, private development's going to pay for some of it, and we're going to have this we got to deal with. So I see urban renewal as a tool in the toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
It may solve a gap financing, it may not, there's no one thing that's going to be the thing that saves it. So at the time, based on that report, it may make sense to do that. It may not. Something else may be coming. There may be an EPA project coming in right in. I mean, it's more of what is the best use of funding at this particular
Well, the
moment.
nice thing is that there's so many options and
Yeah.
so many potential opportunities. So.
So I think people have asked that a lot, and you just have to think of it as a tool in the toolbox, and we'll learn more as some of the final documents come in, and every single team, and one of the big deliverables is that report. Give us political and fiscal direction on how we can accomplish our vision. And be straight and strong with, the key with this is we need some really good leadership from this consultant team, because we have 4 governments. We have stakeholders incorporating all of those 4 values, and everyone's going to kind of have their own little lens on it, but we need the leadership to say, this is how you're going to get it done, and this is how you're going to do it. And so I think I'm really excited about that.
So you think we have that leadership?
I'm hoping we have the leadership and the team that we're going to hire.
Good.
So.
Well, I'm really excited for you and your job now because there's so many great things happening. I'm sure you're working really hard, but wow,
Busy,
so
busy.
exciting.
Yes. I'll be once we hire the team, we get going on the scoping. I think just right now, there's so many balls in the air. And once we can clearly delineate, this is the planning process, this is what we're doing, this is this kind of parallel legislative, EPA, all these other, and who's going to be taking on what. We're still kind of feeling that out right now. So, but I have to say, the working relationship at the staff level between all 4 jurisdictions has been wonderful to work with. So that's been really nice. And that is all I have, and I cannot wait to get the HRB out on site once we're allowed to do
You're here.
limited. And honestly, it may just be a work session will come out. Because once the daylight, it's a lot easier to do site visits in the summertime for a daylight site visit. And that's all I have.
Okay.